valuable soccer club operates barely a mile from here. It takes something fairly special to earn a piece of the sporting limelight in these parts. A Challenge Cup quarter-final against arguably the most exciting new force in the game fits the bill. Salford are all set to enjoy their day in the sun. Or maybe the Mancunian mirth. A previous visit by Warrington in this competition attracted the biggest crowd the Willows has ever accommodated. 26,500 people were shoehorned into this ground. It hardly seems possible, but there again that was in 1937. However, there is plenty of interest in this game, centring on some of the biggest names in the sport. Warrington have recruited with fairly spectacular success. Salford, for their part, have 10 new players on the books, including the most prolific English try-scorer of all time. Now, this is the third quarter-final. Hull knocked out the favourites yesterday. Leeds went through on Friday night, and the Shea is sold out for this afternoon's other tie. We'll be making the semi-final draw live at round about 5:15. And that's an event that Salford have become used to. They're aiming for their third semi-final in 4 seasons. It's their 5th consecutive quarter-final. Warrington, in contrast, haven't reached the last 4 for 10 years now. And overall, this is the 10th meeting in the Challenge Cup. Warrington have the slight edge, but Salford have won the last 3, including a quarter-final only 3 years ago at Wilderspool. Now, I mentioned that on display today we have some players whose deeds have earned them fame worldwide. Salford's star recruit won the Cup 4 times in a row with Wigan, scored one of the greatest tries ever seen at Wembley, and in total has scored more tries than anyone bar Brian Bevan and Billy Boston. 460 of them, starting back in 1987.
Can we see one last effort from a fire? Here it is. He's got the full-back to beat. Phil Beavers. Oh, he's gone round him with absolute ease. What a magnificent effort from this lad.
A sign of things to come. Potential ultimately realised one glorious May Day at Wembley in 1994.
And Martin afire, trying to make some space. Now then, Martin afire. He's got Alan Tate to beat on the outside. I'm sure he's going to go the full length. That is one sensational try. That must rank amongst the finest ever seen on this ground.
Martin, after a legendary record-breaking career in this game, and you set yourself any personal goals here at Salford?
Well, you talk about it as if you know, it's all over. I'm still in the midst of it. Yeah. Obviously, you know, Salford, it's a new challenge, a new club, and looking forward to some success.
Yeah, the coach was saying, I mean, I accuse you of saying it's all over, but the coach was saying that you're going like as a 17-year-old since you've been here.
Well, I don't know about quite a 17-year-old, maybe a 24. Well, I'm enjoying it. It's a new challenge, being at Salford, and as I say, I'm really relishing it.
And while Salford have a fire, Warrington will be led by one of the greatest scrum halves the game has seen. His teammates in Australia affectionately dubbed him ALF, an acronym for Alien Life Form, and he's given opposing teams the runaround for years. Alan Langer was born on the day that England won the 1966 Soccer World Cup. He's captained the Brisbane Broncos to 4 grand final victories, and back in his native Queensland, only Greg Norman and Alan Border come anywhere near matching his fame.
Alan, after the kind of career that you've had in rugby league, I mean, one of the greats of the game, do you set yourself any personal goals now at this point?
Well, I think so. You set them at the start of every season, I think, you play, and especially this year, coming to Warrington, we've set new goals, and it'll be just great to get into the semi-finals, I think, at the end of the Super League season. They've come 7th last year, so it'll be just great to build the club up.
And having Langer on the field is rather like having an extra coach. But the main off-field inspiration comes from the real coach who actually recruited him, Darrell van der Veld.
Darrell, it's what, 10 years since Warrington have been in the Challenge Cup final? Maybe it's getting harder? How do you feel?
Oh, it is definitely getting harder, Richard, got no doubt about that, but you know, we've only been there for 3 years, and this is important. We've prepared well for this game, and we're looking forward to it.
Quarterfinals, though, notoriously difficult, and of course it's a big temptation at this stage to, you know, kind of get a bit nervous, maybe lose the head.
Yeah, well, I don't know about the players, but I've got enough nerves for them. But you know, it's a big game. I mean, I think if as long as they don't have any brain explosions out there and they stick to our game plan, and as long as they've got enthusiasm, I'm sure they'll have that. I think they'll go very well.
And this is John Harvey's selection for today. Salford including 3 new Australians, Tassell and Webber in the centre, James Smith in the second row. Nick Pinkney and Afire have scored 659 tries between them, and with another new signing, Graham Holroyd, injured, 20-year-old Simon Spavik plays at standoff. The captain, Darren Brown, is a key figure. The scrum half, Martin Crompton, played for Warrington in the 1990 Challenge Cup final. One of Crompton's teammates that day, Mark Forster, is still going strong on the left wing for Warrington. Coach Darrell van der Velde is pleased to welcome back John Roper after ankle trouble. And while Langer will set the tone, he's backed up by his long-time minder and friend Andrew G, and a player recently voted the best loose forward in the world, Tawera Nikau of New Zealand. And there are the Warrington Wolves, led by Alan Langer, and including a fair number of pretty well-known players. Alan Hunt, Toa Koalov, the joint leading scorer in Super League last season, and a very sizable travelling support to back Warrington here. It's only a journey of between 15 and 20 miles along the M62. Salford, likewise, with fairly vociferous support. They were fancied by many to finish bottom of Super League this season. They're 250 to 1 outsiders to actually win it. Those odds may not be especially relevant, but their opening Super League victory at Huddersfield Sheffield Giants last week has led them to have greater hopes for the season ahead. Warrington have finished 5th, 9th, 10th and 7th in the last 4 seasons of the league. There's Darren Brown, the captain of the Salford City Reds, a key player. He'll be 31 next month. Former Penrith Panthers man, and his opposite number known to every rugby league supporter worldwide, Alan Langer, for so long a Brisbane Bronco and now a Warrington Wolf.
That's for you.
Being called together by the match referee, making himself known to the tiniest of matchday mascots today, Steve Ganson of St Helens, who was also in charge of our previous Sunday televised game between Castleford and Halifax.
Go that way, so we're going to change round. Warrington
The two sides going to swap ends before we have the kick-off.
Warrington are kicking off.
And a special day for one particular Salford player today, 20-year-old Simon Spavik, filling in at standoff because Graham Holroyd is injured. He's had a real surprise this week, as readers of the Warrington Guardian found out when they had a look to see who'd won the prizes in the Warrington Wolves lottery this week. Look at the winner of £1,000. It's the Salford standoff half. So it's a good omen for Spavik, a lifelong Lee supporter, but today in the colours of Salford City Reds. Warrington getting us underway with a high kick from Lee Breers that's taken by the fullback Gary Broadbent. And sitting alongside me, a man who's tipped Warrington to win today, so Salford have a chance. It's Joe Lydon.
Exactly right, and I've been wrong before. Yesterday, along with many others, I tipped Wigan to beat Hull, and although they had all that talent and all that ability on the field, it was the commitment that Hull that took them through in the end, and I think that's what matters again today. It's who wants to win the most, and Salford, although they're up against it with a strong Warrington pack and great players that Warrington possess, it comes down to commitment and it comes down to ability as well.
Well, our cameras visited this ground early in last season's Challenge Cup to see Salford take on the then holders, the then Sheffield Eagles, and Salford came out on top that day. So they have more than a fighting chance as Crompton kicks downfield and Lee Penny, the long-serving Warrington fullback, mops up.
Not a bad set for Salford to start off with, though, just settling it down, using the forwards well, and then Crompton, who I think we'll see much more of this afternoon, putting the kicks in, trying to turn the Warrington defence round and give his forwards something to chase.
There's Danny Nutley trying to make half a break, tackling holding firm in these early moments from the Salford City Reds. Here's Tawera Nikau, who's reached a Challenge Cup final back in 1992 with Castleford, but hasn't got a winner's medal as yet. Now Steve McCurry, another man to have played and lost a final with Widnes in 1993. The last tackle, and it's gone to Lee Breers, who's shown some nifty footwork and then did well to get the ball to G, and then it was flung sideways, but it's not been taken, and Salford have the handover and will build themselves.
Well, in contrast, that's a little bit sloppy because Warrington would have looked to put that kick in like Salford did. Instead, they're a little bit of a mess up, a little bit of confusion.
And here's a fire. Great roar of appreciation as he's brought to ground. Now Martin Crompton, the former Warrington player. Darren Brown, the captain, and then it's spilt. It was Paul Heighton, the loose forward, who couldn't hang on. Martin Offiah always gets a fairly hot reception wherever he plays, and today there are plenty of visiting supporters to give him it. And slight advantage in pack weight, falling Salford's way. Here's Lee Penny. And up in the stands, the referee's coach, Jerry Kershaw, a former Challenge Cup final referee himself, is in constant communication, if necessary, with Steve Ganson, who's just decided that he is going to have to give a scrum, and the put-in will be Salford's.
Spotting Steve McCurry making a little bit of a mistake, lost control, slamming the ball down to play it, never really had control of it.
Fly around the ground is of Salford. There's a little disruption in the front row. Craig Makin and Andrew G getting to know each other, and Steve Ganson's not wanting any nonsense. He wants to have words with the pair of them.
Your head and feed, Andrew, let him in with the head, or else you can both go and calm down. Now get on with the game. Let his head in.
It's a euphemism for a sin bin, I think, go and calm down, isn't it?
I think so. You look at those two front rows, though. Warrington, all Australians. And the Northern Hemisphere from Salford, all from England.
Salford in possession now with James Smith, one of their cluster of new Australian recruits, but the ball has gone loose and Warrington have regained it.
There's a big hit from Andrew G, the number 8 from Warrington. Put the shoulder in and just dislodged the ball, and that's a good turnover for Warrington. They'll be looking now to make amends for earlier mistakes and try and put some pressure on the Salford defensive line. Here's Langer.
And here is Langer ducking underneath an arm that was swinging in his direction. I know there is a fear in the Warrington camp that Salford may try and really get to Langer in the opening moments of this game. Not that he's not used to that sort of tactic.
I was just going to say many teams have tried.
Not many have got there. This is Danny Farrer, and he's found the wingman Foster. A real veteran, Mark Foster, but still playing as well as ever. Lee Penny. This is good and positive from Warrington. It's the last tackle though, and Langer will orchestrate with the kick high to the corner, which Pinkney eventually takes. And Langer, I think, by his own high standards, might be a little disappointed.
I think so, his players and coach alike, because that was an excellent chance for Warrington. They put the pressure on, they need something constructive on the last tackle. Instead, Langer goes to the kick, and it's just too deep. And Pinkney is safe to collect, no real pressure, and goes dead in goal.
Restarting with a tap on the 20. These sides met 3 times last season, and Warrington won 2 of those 3 meetings. But in the Super League era, Salford lead by 5 wins to 3. This is Malcolm Olker, the hooker. One of 6 players in the 17-strong squad of Salford, born in Wigan. Now James Smith, who most definitely wasn't born in Wigan. He hails from Young in New South Wales. Crompton, the scrum half. Spavik, content to accept the tackle of Danny Nutley. And they look to Crompton for the kick, which is high and has Lee Penny beneath it.
Quite an easy take for Lee Penny. Darren Brown, the captain for Salford, was on the chase, but Crompton's kick needed to be a little bit deeper and a little bit higher.
Farrer, now nick out. Such a rangy runner to wear a nick out. 19 caps for New Zealand. Danny Nutley. He's been a stalwart of the past couple of seasons for Warrington. He and Danny Farrer have battled away in the pack, not always with the support they might have liked, but now with the sort of comrades that they have, like Andrew G and Nick out, they have plenty of help. There's a Salford player down, but play's allowed to continue with Lee Breers chipping through and trying to regather. Spavik got a hand on the ball, but the ruling is that he knocked it on.
Don't be appealing.
Gary Broadbent, by the way, is the player who's down, I think, for Salford.
This is a chip from Breers over the top. He also tried to put the boot to it for the second time. Couldn't get it through. Spavik cleaning up, but there will be a scrum from this.
Man down.
Salford a little concerned about the fitness of Gary Broadbent, but he seems to be okay. Former Widnes player.
A little bit groggy, took a knock with the shoulder. There was nothing illegal at all. Just lost his senses for a little while. Back in the play now.
So Langer putting in and taking out Breers. Trying to work the move with Koa Love, the centre. He's surrounded by 3 Salford tacklers. Langer. Now Danny Farrar with the trademark headband, masking a couple of the most sizable cauliflower ears you've ever seen. Langer once again trying to work it this time with the help of Nicow, and now Steve McCurry. But no, that won't count. The referee noticing that the ball had gone forward, and it'll be a scrum on the 10-metre line.
Well, relief for Salford. Nicow just putting the pass in, finding the support player, but just half a yard forward, Steve McCurry. What was noticeable there from the Warrington point of view is they were at centre field and had good options both sides. It was hard to determine which side they were going to choose. Langer obviously orchestrating, but they have the ability to strike down both flanks.
So, Salford bringing the ball away deep inside their own territory. We have the chance to get the view from the touchline from our reporter down there, Richard Duckenfield.
Yes, John, Gary Broadbent seems to be fully recovered. He took a fairly hefty blow on the back of the head, made him a bit dizzy for a while, but the physio had a look at him, he's okay. But before that, interesting enough, Lee Penny was causing some concern on the Warrington bench. He took a high ball, landed rather heavily, but I imagine he'd run that off.
Well, Crompton took a knock from Nutley as that kick was dispatched. The referee is unconcerned by that.
This is the second time a Warrington player's got to Crompton after the kick, and that was a little late. It was only a shoulder, but it was late.
Steve Ganson saw nothing wrong.
I've got it, clear.
I think Martin Crompton might disagree.
And Warrington have it with Langer, and now Breers. And now Koa Love, who's got a real turn of speed when he gets open ground ahead of him. Now Nicow. Farrar in support behind him, but Craig Makin slightly thinning on top in at the tackle for Salford. So a fairly attritional start.
Warrington seemed to be the more balanced to the sides.
There's John Roper. Now Farrar at dummy half. Through the hands of Langer to Breers. Now Andrew G to Koa Love, and Koa Love fending off Broadbent, who kept on at him.
Afai did very well too, just staying out on the wing, preventing Alan Hunt receiving the pass. Broadbent involved again here.
And Steve Ganson, the man who's going to have to sort this out.
Well, temper's throwing a little bit. Koa Love, the ball carrier, and Broadbent, the fullback, involved.
That way. Steve. Hang on. Stay that way, Darren.
Steve Ganson is inviting Keith Leyland, the touch judge, to give his advice.
Okay. Put the full. Go on, Alan. Just go over there a minute, mate. Alan, go over there, please. Put the 15 while it was on the floor. Yeah. Warrington did the offence. Okay. So penalty to Salford. Tuller, come here, mate.
Koa Love, the
Alan,
offender.
you now, please. You put the fist in, report from the touch judge on the floor. Penalty's going to Salford. Don't argue, just get on with it, mate. Come on.
Good advice, don't argue, just get on with it. I think he was trying to play the ball as quickly as possible here. Broadbent holding him, and he uses the, if you watch, he uses the rugby ball to try and fend him off. The touch judge saying that was a punch, but I think it was actually the ball. Maybe a little bit harsh early on.
There's Paul Southern. Suffered concussion in last week's Super League victory at Huddersfield Sheffield, and now Makin driving in. The side struggling for supremacy. Let's hear from Richard once again.
And Warrington are keen to clamp down on any indiscipline after that little incident there involving Koa Love. Paul Cullen, the Warrington assistant coach, sent the message on very firmly to calm it down.
There's Paul Cullen actually sitting in the dugouts on the far side of the ground as we look, whilst Daryl Vandervelde, the coach, is up in the grandstand on this near side. But there is a radio link between the two of them. Crompton, now Svavic, Darren Brown, and now Paul Heighton. Heighton trying to offload, but Danny Farrar helped out Danny Nutley.
I have a smile on my face listening to that comment that Paul Cullen is telling people to calm down. For those who remember his playing days, bit of a fiery sword. Now, poacher-turned goalkeeper.
Managing to get away from his own line. Paul Cullen, I think I'm right in saying, was obviously a very long-serving Warrington player and a fine one, but did miss the 1990 Challenge Cup final through suspension, which was not untypical.
That's right, he was a great player, great servant to the club, and continues to be so. His potential as a coach is amazing, really. I'm sure he'll go from strength to strength in that coaching role.
Penny, the player beneath all that. This is Lee Penny.
There is Paul Cohen watching on and watching his forwards do well. Up front, this Australian front row, G, Farah and Nutley really taking the game to Salford.
This is Langer. And now it's Andrew G, and he's broken through the tackle, and he's got support from Danny Farrar, and Farrar's found Penny, and Penny scores the opening try.
Well, so often you give the kiss of death to a team by mentioning players, mentioning individuals, but G and Farrar there combined. Penny came up from fullback to score the try, but it was those forwards that caused the problems for Salford.
Lee Penny, who's still only 25, but with more than 200 games for the club to his name.
G making the initial break, passed on to Farrar. He couldn't put the pass into his supporting forward, but on hand Lee Penny isn't he delighted with the try. Langer the inside pass, G bursts through, the tackle is not complete. Farrar in support, draws the last line of defence and puts the ball back, and there is Penny, the Warrington fullback, to score the first try of the afternoon.
Lee Penny, who was furious recently when the Wigan Evening Post, his hometown local paper, decided that in their fantasy rugby league, he's the cheapest fullback in Super League.
Wigan born, scored 70 tries. Lee Penny, that's his 71st. Coming from the amateur club Oral St James in Wigan. Quite a simple kick for Breers to make it 6 points, adding on the 2 to the 4 from Penny.
Well, Lee Breers scored 40 points, a club record, in the last round victory over York of the Northern Ford Premiership. This to open his account in the quarter-final. Easy as you like. Takes his tally for the season already to 76 points. In fact, Lee Breers has scored more points this season than the entire Salford team.
And that's a hell of a statistic, but you look at where that try was scored, and that was right up the middle of the defence. Again, Langer taking it to the line, making the defender make the decision, and once he made the wrong one, G was put through the gap. Another missed tackle in support. Farrar, the captain, the ball back inside to the fullback Lee Penny. Good score, good start, and Darryl van der Velde, the coach there, I'm sure pleased.
Both these sides unbeaten so far this season. Warrington nominally the leaders of the embryonic Super League table, albeit only on points difference after one game, and there are 4 missed tackles already by Salford. Warrington's record unblemished. This is Andrew G, and now Lee Penny, the try scorer, who's found space once more.
You can see that try's done him no harm at all. Confidence coming up the middle of the field again. Here's Steve McCurry in the left-hand channel trying to make inroads. Langer again dictating play,
as he does once more with the short pass to Breers. Breers trying to slip the ball backwards rather than just accepting the tackle. It's Danny Farrar, the hooker, and now Nick out. Very difficult man to put to ground, as Salford have found. Danny Nutley.
A more direct method from Nutley. Warrington now go to the right-hand side again. Langer in control.
And it's the last of the 6 tackles, so that'll be the handover.
Okay.
Well, just testing Salford there. Rather than putting a kick in, Langer decides that they would run the football. But Salford managed to hold out. The fire comes in and helps his forwards.
The fire, who's hardly seen the ball so far. The referee unhappy and has given the penalty to Salford.
Alan! Come here.
And he's going to call in the skipper,
mate,
Alan Langer. It's Langer's great friend Andrew G who's transgressed.
I've spoke to you twice. Don't put your arms on him. That's not the goal. We can't do that. All right, I know, but you've got your elbow right down on his face. Okay. Elbow right down on his face. Don't do it, mate. It's putting you under pressure. Okay? It's the way it's going.
Andrew G, the long-term vice-captain to Langer at the Brisbane Broncos.
Each have 4 grand final winners' medals, Langer and G. And there he was just introducing himself to Martin O'Fire.
This is Craig Macon. Lee Breers at the moment has been struggling a little for Warrington. He's out on this near side at the moment, not involved in the thick of the action. Here's Crompton. And now James Smith.
Nickhouse stood firm in the middle there. There is Breers.
I think Richard Duckenfield can perhaps tell us more about the condition of Lee Breers.
Well, Lee Breers is expected to be okay. I mean, the concern on the Salford bench at the moment is that they might have met their nemesis in Alan Langer. I mean, it's quite amazing how Alan Langer can delay the pass until just the right opportune moment. Dangerous for him, but very effective.
Well, he survived to the age of 33, however dangerous it might be. This is Chris Tassel. A fire was lurking. Langer is in there trying to pick the ball up.
Langer was offside.
Hence, Salford have the advantage.
A little kick through along the floor by Tassel. And you see Langer, as it rolled on, was in an offside position. So the penalty to Salford.
Chance for Salford to get back on level terms. This is Craig Makin, their former witness prop forward.
Just watch them going back down that short side. They have the players stacked there under fire.
Crompton looking at that short side. This is James Smith. Tassel was up at his shoulder, but he couldn't get the ball away. The fire lurking ominously. It's gone the other way though. Crompton to Darren Brown. Darren Brown so mobile for a big man. Now Paul Southern, just 5 metres short. And Salford, you sense, need something at this point in the game. Crompton tried to barge his way through. Nickhow doing manful work to hold him up. Salford battering away, but so far without any tangible success. Misses out Spavik. Darren Brown. Brown will kick towards the corner. Tassel is lurking right on the line. Tassel's caught it, and Tassel grounds the ball. And Salford have got just what they needed, that try to pull themselves back into the tie.
So often we see the weapon of the high kick to the corner. Alan Hunt planted, couldn't rise to catch the ball, collected, and Tassel came in. We'll see it on the replay. It was a well-weighted kick across field, high enough for the chasing team, which was onside. Alan Hunt doesn't get above the two players. Broadbent, one of them the fullback for Salford, and Tassel the centre, and it's Tassel who collects. Alan Hunt was probably third in line to catch that one. There were two Salford players in front of him, and Chris Tassel, the Australian, scores a try, and he's delighted now. He puts Salford right back in this tie.
It's his first try for the club, only his fourth game since joining from South Sydney. He is a player who has the respect of Alan Langer. And here's one of the young pretenders in the Salford side, Simon Spavik. The name, if you're wondering, comes from his grandparents, who were Yugoslav. He himself hails from Billinge, near Wigan.
38 metres for the kick, a little more difficult than Lee Breers. And just pulls it to the left as he looks at the post. But more important, it's probably Salford's first sortie towards the Warrington line. They come up with the points. Here you see the crossfield kick.
It was Darren Brown, wasn't it?
Well deep, but he puts the ball in just the right position in which his players can contest for it. And Tassel does well. Alan Hunt will be disappointed underneath that one, though. He should have got up for the ball, but it's very difficult when you're barged out of the way by oncoming players.
Is that a tactic we're likely to see repeated?
Well, it's worked once, there's no reason why Salford shouldn't try it again. But don't be surprised if you see Alfie Langer, the number 7 for Warrington, also trying that tactic. It's one that he is very skillful at. And with wingers such as Alan Hunt and Mark Foster, they can also collect the high kick to score.
Here's Brown again. Now finding James Smith, this hard-running second rower. And another man who came from the South Sydney club down under. Back with Darren Brown. Now Chris Tassel, the scorer of the Salford try. It's a good response from the Salford City Reds. Having conceded the early try to Lee Penny, goaled by Breers, and then soaked up a fair amount of pressure. Their defence held firm.
I'm just watching Breers on the fringe of the pack, defending here on Warrington's left-hand side. Still a little bit slow to make the defensive line.
Well, here's Nickhow breaking, and Breers is on his inside, and back come the tacklers. Neil Baines, the most effective of them. Langer organising his forces, but Foster has decided to have a little barge through himself.
Lee Penny and Coyle over on the right-hand side. Alan Hunt queuing up for a try, but they bring it left.
With Breers, who's passed to McCurry, is then offloaded now to John Roper. Roper can't find his way through, though. Jason Webber in at the tackle. Webber, the man whose late try earned Salford their quarter-final place at London. Breers now more involved, and here's Ian Knott.
His fellow teammates just stood and watched. There was no support. Breers takes it to the right again.
Here's Penny, and Penny looks to his left. Andrew G. Langer was waiting for it. Knott has it.
It's a bit flat-footed, the Warrington players there. Nobody coming really from depth.
Here's Breers. The kick hit Broadbent, ricochets in a couple of directions, and it'll be the handover.
Well, good pressure from Warrington, but no points as a result. Breers dabs the ball through. You could suggest that it came off Broadbent's hand.
Of course, if Lee Breers doesn't recover fully from the knock that he's taken, as we see the confirmation of the first substitution of the game, Neil Baines on in place of Craig Makin for the Salford City Reds. Warrington do have a ready-made replacement at stand-off in Steve Blakely, the former Salford player who's starting on the bench for them today.
Interesting to see what kind of reception he'll get from the Salford fans.
Come on, Johnny, hard, mate.
Svabic, the player who's found touch. And here is Neil Baines, a one-time Wigan prop forward.
Uncompromising style of Neil Baines, just straight up. He'll do that all afternoon for his teammates. Just cart the ball up.
Baines, who's lost 1.5 stone in the close season, still a fairly hefty fellow. Now here's Crompton. Darren Brown. Brown, such an influential player, finding Jason Webber, another Australian, and Webber trying to weave his way through. Now it's given to Svabic, and Svabic is tackled by Roper and rounded wonderfully well to snap that up by his bootlaces. And then, perhaps unnecessarily, he got rid of the ball as he was going down in the tackle, and it'll be a scrum.
Well, initial great skills from Darren Brown, the captain. But then the ball lost. Put in the passing when there was no real need for it. The damage had been done. What they needed was a quick play of the ball and try and use the back line, take it towards the Fire's wing.
Well done.
Forster, making his 448th appearance for Warrington today. And only 3 men have appeared more often for the club. In fact, only 3 men have scored more tries than his 188 in Warrington's Primrose and Blue.
And he, the only player that scored a 3-point try in the dark old ages.
And Salford's assistant coach Steve O'Neill not too pleased about that last passage of play. He felt they lost an advantageous position there for Salford by simply trying to force the pass.
This is Crompton, and now Svabic. Talk about the dark old days and 3-point tries. They're your days, virtually.
Don't.
Oh, no, sorry. Here's Tassel.
I had a feeling that was coming. I'd set myself up for it.
Now Smith. Curry's tackle perhaps slightly on the high side, but nothing illegal. And here's Olker, the hooker, to Crompton. And his 31st year, Martin Crompton. Darren Brown finding the fullback Broadbent, who was stopped only by a fairly last-ditch tackle around the ankles of Fire. Crompton wasn't a good pass, but it went backwards, so it's play on. Darren Brown in centre field. He set up the first try. Paul Southern, this burly prop forward of Fire, couldn't hold on to it. Warrington have it back with Andrew G.
Well, they had a couple of chances there, Salford. I thought that Broadbent took the wrong angle, came back inside on that left-hand side, could have scored a try if he'd have stayed in the gap. But Salford, through Crompton mainly, showing that they have the ability to open this Warrington defence up. Scored the 1 try so far, but they have the potential to score a few more, particularly if they continue running the angles and causing the problems they just showed in that last movement.
Danny Nutley making it virtually up to halfway. Plenty of excitement around this age-old rugby league stadium. It's an ideal arena for a tightly contested game such as this.
And it's a cracking contest between the 2 number 7s. That was a poor kick from Langer. But with Crompton and Langer battling it out to control the match. Again, Crompton put in the pass there to find Pinkney. They're really having a ding-dong battle.
And Webber goes from dummy half. Steve McCurry is down for Warrington, close to the 30-metre line in the left-hand half. Ian Knott topping the tackle count after just over a quarter of this quarter-final tie. Referee unhappy with Tawera Nico, I think, and Andrew G is also being picked out. It's going to be a penalty to Salford.
Nico came across the top with Neil Baines swinging arm. And referee Ganson in the right position. You'll see Nico come across here. Second goal. Just catches him on the chin. Another angle. Baines takes 2 shots. G the first and Nico the second.
Meantime, Steve McCurry is looking very groggy indeed.
Well, he had 2 attempts to get back to his feet in back play. Obviously taking a knock to the head.
So Simon Spavik has the opportunity to level the scores. He was impressive when given his chance at the McAlpine Stadium in Super League last Sunday. 14 points from 2 tries and 3 goals. It's only the 18th game of his career, so very inexperienced, but plenty of promise. He's placed that very accurately right between the uprights, and it's 6 points apiece.
A leisurely strike, the angle a little better than his conversion from the touchline, or his attempted conversion from the touchline, and the scoreline's level. They had 6 apiece here at the Willows.
This has always been a difficult place for visiting sides to come for Challenge Cup ties. It was memorably the place where Wigan's record-breaking run of 43 unbeaten ties came to an end 4 years ago. Let's hear from Richard Duckenfield.
Just had a close look into the face of the unfortunate Steve McCurry. There's not much going on there. His dish certainly isn't picking up all the channels. He's off to the dressing room until his head clears. The Frenchman, Jérôme Guisset, is his replacement.
I think Dick's trying to say that the lights are on, but nobody's at home. But Jérôme Guisset comes with a fair reputation himself. The first Frenchman to play for Warrington, and also a player who appeared on 4 occasions for the Canberra Raiders in the NRL last season. He was over in Australia as a student. And that's a decent kick downfield that Lee Penny is having to go a long way back to try and retrieve. He'll hope that it'll go over the dead ball line, which it does, and it will be a restart on the 20-metre line.
On the line, lad. On the whistle. Okay.
Nick out at the restart to Foster.
Again, the wingman comes in and helps his forwards out. You would normally expect one of the big Australians to take the ball over. Foster's always keen to just help out.
And now Guisset getting his first serious taste of the action. Danny Nutley. Farah. Now Nick out. His great talent is to accept the tackle, turn in it, and get rid of the ball. Langer to Andrew G. Those two operate with almost telepathic understanding of one another. Lee Penny. It's Toy Korolavu made the initial break, and Penny very, very close to breaking through altogether.
Breers a little bit annoyed that he didn't get the pass in support.
Langer. Now Breers does have it, and it's gone loose. It would have been the handover anyway.
Well, the referee, you heard, knock on Salford ball. Breers shakes his head. He was in support the first occasion. Was that little knock on from Langer? He couldn't collect on the second.
John Harvey, the Salford coach, has worked hard in his 9 months at the club. He was the man who was brought in to replace Andy Gregory last June. His record in stark statistical terms isn't all that impressive. It's only his 20th game in charge, 7 wins, 12 defeats. But he does appear to be turning things round this season. He's recruited in numbers, and he's recruited some quality as well. The kick from Spavik. Alan Hunt. Nick out to Foster. Warrington seeking a place in the semi-final of the Challenge Cup for the first time since they actually reached the final in 1990 when they lost to Wigan. Salford edging it in terms of possession, nothing to choose between the two sides in terms of score.
I mentioned that both have had a winning start to the season, but if you listen to the bookmakers, they give 250 to 1 for Salford to win the league, and Warrington 10 to 1.
And in terms of the Challenge Cup, Salford 40 to 1, Warrington 5 to 1. And here's Breers trying to work his way through. It's been picked up by Martin Ofaya. Not really had a chance to really get going, and nor will he have that now.
Well, Breers was crowded out first of all, a penalty to Ofaya for the second occasion where somebody's come in.
Tackle was done, he come in late.
Well, the referee says it, that the tackle was already completed before the late flop. And Spabik gets the chance to just clear his lines with a kick from the penalty.
Olka with the tap to the huge figure of Neil Baines. Reduced this season to 17 stone. Crompton missing out Southern, finding Spabik, and now this is James Smith. Paul Heighton. Crompton. Now Darren Brown. Brown who lost the ball. And the referee's given the knock on, and he's furious, Darren Brown. I think not with the referee, but just his own inadequacies in not hanging on to the ball.
Well, it was one-on-one in the tackle. Breers tried to steal it, and the referee deciding that Brown should have had control.
Okay.
So it'll be scrummed down now with Warrington's feed, Langer to put the ball in.
And John Harvey in the centre of your picture there, on the left the Chief Executive of Salford City Reds, David Tarry. Plenty riding on this game for both these sides, but Salford, who aren't expected to make a particular impact on the upper echelons of Super League this season, may feel that the Challenge Cup is their best route to silverware. This is Andrew G. Had one major surprise yesterday, with great respect to Hull and the wonderful way in which they played, but the favourites in the competition, Wigan, were dumped out in comprehensive style at the Boulevard.
The enthusiasm took them through. None of those players, they had a couple of injured players during the afternoon, Hull, but none of them wanted to leave the field. And I'm sure that intensity is here as well, which is evident in the tackling from Salford.
This is Danny Farrar. Farrar, who likes a contest, likes a battle, and this is one. This is Lee Breers. Breers on the run around to Ian Nutt, who likes to burst through at pace. That was the last tackle.
Well, again, Warrington decided to run the football rather than kick it. And a fire, Light Foster, the Warrington wingman, eager to help his forwards out to bring the ball away.
Come on, outside, see.
Now it's Olka. Now the referee crying out second tackle. Crompton. And James Smith. Fire at dummy half. Thought about passing. They have to think about passing again, and did give it to Paul Southern. Now it's Webber. Showing the ball 2 or 3 times. And then it came loose, and Foster has fallen upon it.
You're not making the tackle. Warrington get the chance again by the mistake. There's not a lot in this game, though, is it? Both sides eager to take the ball forward, and defence is strong. Maybe a little bit of nerves in both teams, not controlling the ball as much as they would like.
Farrar. Nickard. So many Warrington players in particular are capable of moments of individual brilliance to open up an opposing defence. No one more so than this man, Alan Langer. Salford deserve credit for hanging on to it. Farrar for a second time. Now to Guisset, the Frenchman. Last tackle once again. Warrington have run with it at this point in the past, but this time it'll be Langer with the kick through, and it's been gathered in by Paul Heighton. Broadbent. Ofaya. Chris Tassel, scorer of the Salford try. For latecomers, it's worth reiterating that Lee Penny was the man who puts Warrington into an early lead. Goal by Breers. Chris Tassel from a high kick by Darren Brown to the corner. Put 4 points on the board for Salford, and then a penalty by Simon Spabik, making it 6 apiece. Spabik, who now kicks safely to touch.
penalty count must be creeping up against Warrington. They've made a couple of mistakes and been penalised for it in Salford's half of the field. There it is, the penalty count, 7-1. And that will be a worry for coach Van der Velde from Warrington. We talked about the discipline before this match. We've also talked about it during it. They really have to keep those penalties to a minimum.
Here's a fire bursting through the high step and the score. His first opportunity of the game, taken with the usual high-stepping style by Martin Afire, who is now only one short of half a century of Challenge Cup tries. He was bought to make an impact, to add some pace to what John Harvey called the slowest three-quarter line in Super League last season. And Afire clearly enjoyed that.
Well, he covered across the back line, just waiting for the opportunity, and he took it so well. Crompton again, at angle runners coming back. A beautiful pass inside, and Afire tanked to perfection. Nobody could lay a hand on him, penning it across, but only once he crossed the try line.
And the left winger scores in the right-hand corner to put Salford in front for the first time this afternoon.
The opportunities he had to touch the ball were all in his own half. Hadn't really had the chance to attack the Warrington line, but that was Crompton again. The battle between him and Langer is one to relish, and the pass from Crompton to find Afire, well, magical almost.
Fire at the other end of the field, receiving plaudits from Salford supporters and jeers from the many followers of Warrington. An awkward angle, this kick for Simon Svavic. And he's pulled it across the face. Nonetheless, Salford have recovered very well from going behind early in the game. Have the upper hand in recent meetings between the sides. Warrington's last win over Salford in the Challenge Cup was in 1965.
And there was a pass from Crompton, just had Lee Breers and Mark Foster with their feet planted as their fire came through what was a gaping gap to score that try.
And that's a high kick-off from Breers, which is caught comfortably by Svavic. Paul Southern. Olka to James Smith. Salford, one imagines, will be content just to try and play out time up to the half-time hooter, which is not far away. It's been a very well-contested first half. The kick comes from Martin Crompton. Oh, awkward for Alan Hunt, and it went right through his legs and off his heel into touch.
Well, caught in two minds, possibly three. Should I take it? Should I collect it on the roll? Or try and trap it? He did none of those. And it'll be Salford's feet at the scrum.
Well, poor Alan Hunt's been painting his house this week, and according to those at the Warrington club, they've hardly recognised him because he's been covered from head to toe in emulsion this week.
Come on, mate.
Things haven't improved so far this afternoon for him. Losing out to the high kick from Darren Brown for the first try scored by Chris Tassel. And then that moment of slight embarrassment. Svavic tried to chip through, and it's been picked up by Nichow, and the break could be on here for Warrington with Roper. Roper, though, dragged to ground by Svavic. Nichow on the follow-up. Foster surrounded by 5 Salford tacklers. There's the hooter, and Salford have the half-time lead by 10 points to 6. Tries from Chris Tassel and Martin Afire. A penalty goal from Simon Svavic against a Lee Penny try converted by Lee Breers for Warrington. Joe Lydon, your impressions?
I think it's just been a well-fought contest. The scrum halves, Crompton and Langer, have been dictating plays for their sides. But Salford coming right back into it after that early try, and they'll be happy to go into the interval with the lead.
It's been a very impressive performance by the Salford City Reds so far, as they go off for their Half-time words of wisdom and advice from coach John Harvey, and we can hear now from Richard Duckenfield.
With the Salford assistant coach Steve O'Neill. Steve, I suppose nobody knows better than Martin of Fire the value of scoring just before half-time.
Oh, it's a classic try. We worked it in training, and we haven't really had any decent field position, and we got the opportunity to work that play.
You just get the feeling that if Salford had cooler heads and didn't try to force things, they could do better in this game.
Yeah, we keep asking them for set retention, ball retention, and complete the sets, but we've just got a little bit of field position towards the end of the half there, and applied a bit of pressure, and it paid off.
Discipline's going to be important second half, I guess.
I certainly think so. Warrington likes to put it in your face, as it were, but hopefully we can compete, and I think we need to compete up front a little bit more and take it to them.
Thanks very much, Steve. Thank you.
Well, you could have backed Salford at evens with a 14-point start on the Rugby League coupon today, but this, well, it's fascinating, and it's too close to call. Salford with a narrow half-time advantage at the Willows.
Yeah, well, there you go, yeah. So, you know, it really does help when everything fits together.